learned and we have settled. We have one CITBR also. He will also agree with me. Classic cases where settlement is so fine that both the SSC and the department feel that we have won. There is 100 rupees, that is department's target initial. Always they are going to look at the gross, and that also extrapolated many times. So 100 becomes 300. That is what the department is looking at. The SSC says it is not 100, sir. It is 85. He justifies why it is 85, and he says out of this 85, only 15 is my income. So the dispute is between 15 and 300, and the way they beautifully settle the issue between the two, obviously depending on facts, what comes up, and the believability of the submissions, that both the parties feel end of it, getting less than 300, it may get settled something like 20 also, 22 also. But the department feels we have got the right figure. SSC also feels we have got the right figure. I have instances I can share with you where investigating officers, those who have searched, after 5 years and the case is settled, they call me up if they know me otherwise. Chetan bhai, I should tell you that you settled that case yesterday. I came to know the figure, and it's a very beautiful figure for the department. Whatever may be the appraisal report, but it's a fair assessment that you have got it. Not us, it is the bench that does it. If we have a very good bench, it's a samjhota, a meeting of minds between the two figures based on facts and what could be the income of the SSC. The attitude is not to collect maximum revenue from the SSC that is before them, but to collect what is a fair income. Also, I would like to add here, if the same facts you are in tribunal, what you would get away with 100 in tribunal, it will become 120 in settlement commission. This is the formula that I have. This is no formula that it is work like this. But why? I tell the SSC, look at that way, you have saved 100 rupees penalty. So you are still saving 80. And that is what is also playing on the members' mind, that we are going to give them immunity from 100 penalty. Let us take little more tax. So the department is also happy. Instead of 100, you get 120. SSC is also happy that instead of paying 200 with penalty and all that, I paid 120. It's a fair deal. I have not paid any penalty. So this is a samjhota that takes place on facts. So your application has the issues of dispute between you and the department. This is what is addressed at the end. Department may come up with issues other than what you have listed out, and those are the issues which are really problem as far as penalty is concerned. Because then you have not identified, you have not made a full and full disclosure of facts. So an identification of your issues and how you have proposed to settle it by offering income becomes the base for further settlement. This is where samjhota comes in. They have widest discretion. Supreme Court itself has said that they are bound by provisions of Income Tax Act, but in determination of income they have the widest discretion. They are not bound by hardcore rules of evidence, nor disallowances have to be made and all that. They can determine fairly this is the income that the SSC has done. So this is where the core benefit of settlement is. But as I said, you should be ready to settle all facts. If factual issues are to be disputed, it will not work out because settlement will not take place, and Settlement Commission doesn't like, they do it, it is their option. Once they have the case, they have to decide it, but they are not happy if you are called upon to decide an issue on facts. They like to settle a case, this is SSC, this is department on facts, we feel this is a fair figure. But you say this is the SSC, this is department, he is right, he is wrong. They are not very happy, that is not settlement, and it will lead to penalty if such an issue comes up. Now what does the Settlement Commission's order have? This is really where the major crucial benefit comes in. Law itself provides that the order shall provide for terms of settlement, manner in which the taxes will be paid. That is, they will also grant you installment plan. Depending on facts, there have been instances where they have given 2-year time to the SSC to make for the payment of tax. There's something further. So rarely it happens nowadays because your application, along with the application you have paid, but still there is a revised estimate. Depending on the clients, you have to demonstrate before them. Immunity from penalty and prosecution invariably received if A, full and full disclosure is there, and you have cooperated. Because law itself provides that you might have concealed there. 245H provides 3 conditions for giving immunity from penalty and prosecution. Typical like a presidential power and the king's pardon. A, you have made a full and true disclosure. B, you have disclosed manner of earning. And 3, you have cooperated with the Settlement Commission. If these 3 things are done, even if you have concealed income, it is immaterial. You get complete immunity from penalty and prosecution invariably if it is a good case. They never deny this. Only cases where new facts, new issues emerge, that is where they levy some penalty at the second stage. But otherwise, you find that penalty is never there. What you have to do after D4? Only one thing. and that is you have to pay the taxes as given in the order. So the assessing officer has to give you a demand notice, but the law doesn't talk of demand notice being issued to you by the assessing officer. It says as per the terms of settlement. So your order is passed today, say 9th of November or 8th of November, and you are given time of 3 months. You are not going to wait for the notice of demand, which may come after 6 months. You know what is tax payable. You have to go ahead and make that payment within that period prescribed. If you don't do it, there is an automatic withdrawal of penalty and prosecution immunity that was granted. Normally, very rarely, this happens that the department files an application. There is still an exception there, but the law first says that if you have not paid the taxes in accordance with the order, that is, you don't satisfy the terms of settlement, then the immunities will be withdrawn automatically. However, there is a thing, further they said that within the time prescribed in the order or such further time as may be granted. So we always tell the SSC that in a situation where you still require further time, a suo motu application before the time limit has expired would serve your purpose. That sir, I cannot pay it for this reason, give me further. Otherwise, before order, you pay the taxes, that's the end of the matter. Nobody has jurisdiction to do anything about that case. There can be a writ filed, but that is very rare. And that is also one very limited issue that a writ application, writ can be filed. Otherwise, your order is final within 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, max 12 months. Very rarely it goes 18 months. All those, as I said, 280 orders get passed in one day. So pay the taxes, end of the matter, SSC can look forward. One need not look back at all. That all those issues go. Nobody has jurisdiction to touch them at all. So I'll just touch back again about the abatement. When an application is rejected at the second stage of admission, when an application gets rejected at D4, or D4 order doesn't get passed within 18 months. This is the statutory time limit. Within 18 months of the month in which application is filed, if an order of D4 is not passed, in all these circumstances, as well as the circumstance that they recall the order in 245H, because subsequently full and true disclosure was found not made, everything goes back to the department with the material, with the admissions and everything, and you get the credit for taxes paid. That is what is the benefit they have provided. Obviously you get, but they have specifically said. So friends, this is, I would say briefly, the procedure of settlement commission. Very good forum for a person who wants to make a clean breast of things. If somebody wants to hide on facts, let me assure you, you sit down drafting an application, if the SSC is candid enough to admit all facts, the income can still come down. You can still find a way to bring down the income. But if he is not going to be, he is going to be, on tax he is going to say, okay sir, whatever figure you say, I'll pay the tax. But on facts, sir, please, little bit don't ask me. You are going to face difficulty at a later date. So full and true disclosure is the only thing that the SSC is ready to. And you go only if you require penalty and prosecution immunity. Otherwise, filing of an application is not advisable because, as we said, there are various ifs and buts that can happen. But if penalty prosecution that you are looking at immunity, you are ready to make a full and true disclosure of facts, it's really an ideal institution for a person who has crossed the limit and has gone on the other side and become labeled as a tax evader. Easier for him to solve all his problems and look forward to be a better tax-paying citizen. Well, friends, thank you.
Is there any question? We can address a few of them.
Can we get capitalization of income offered?
I'll share with you something. When I started my practice in Settlement Commission 93-94, we had one Mr. Venkatraman as member, then vice chairman, then chairman also. He was considered to be one of the toughest. And even today, some officers say, oh, you work with them. He was considered to be the toughest. His stand always was that every rupee that is finally determined in a D4 order has to be capitalized. His logic was that if an SSC has 100 rupees today unaccounted, I tax him on that 100 rupees and feel happy, oh, I have taxed him. But I don't make him bring it to books of accounts. This 100 in next 5 years is going to become 200. Because the money that is lying with him outside the books is not going to remain idle. It is still going to earn income. So he used to always insist every rupee. Unfortunately, with time, there have been officers who feel that no, capitalization is a benefit to the SSC. Yes, benefit, yes, but you look at the benefit to the larger economy. That you have brought that money into the mainstream. Now he has to use that 100 rupees in number one investments. He cannot now make the money outside. Today law is rather the practice. Today the practice is what you make in your application. That this is my income, I applied this way. They'll give you capitalization only to that extent. Nothing further than that. They don't give capitalization anything further than that. No cash capitalization except to the extent of found. This is the practice today. Unfortunate, I would say, if you look at the larger issue, you see all the VDI schemes, there was always a clause that there has to be entry passed in your books of accounts of the income amount. Income declared, you had to pass an entry. We had difficulty in 97 when corporates wanted to make VDIs. How will we pass entry? We will have difficulty. But the law was clear, you have to mark an entry. Bring it in books, because only if you bring it in books, it goes out future. But unfortunately, this has remained a thought today. Capitalization only what comes in your application.
Sir, this is a one-time chance. So can a person go for his entire periods till date for more than 6 or 8 years to clean himself off?
As the law stands 2010, really all the years get covered. This was a problem between 2007 and 2010, when you could go for a very limited, conditions were very tight. Today what? You can go for 148 days, if there is a 148 notice, you can go if there is a 153 notice. You can go if the last year, even before 143. What are the years we are looking at otherwise?
Previously, generally we found that only after 132 search, people were finding this pathway to clean himself up. Now they have been liberalized. Now today, if a person thinks, can he go for back for 30-40 years and clean off himself?
See, if you are looking at averaging out the rate of tax, it's not going to happen. I'll tell you, what was the practice prior? People try to spread it over 40 years. Reason is the more you spread it over, the lower the rate of tax. If you are going to go back 40 years, they are going to ask you proof that you earned it in that year. You are going to become the same case which I mentioned about that corporate in Delhi. Then where have you earned this income 40 years back? How did you earn it?
Is it a clean path for Robert Vadra?
For him to consider.
Sir, AO also cannot reopen those cases of prior to 6 years. How about it goes back to the AO?
That's what I'm saying, 7 years.
If it goes back after rejection, depending on the information available.
No, everything anyway goes back to your application.
If it is rejected, if it goes back to the AO, that information can be used against us.
Okay. At least the
All
figure of
kinds of
income he
things.
knows.
All
Figure of
kinds of-
income he knows.
Sir, if elder happen to expire and something is, son knows, something do not know. Now, you want to come for disclosure. How one should proceed?
So 10 years back, I myself has faced this. One of the cases from, I don't remember, ex-Nizam's place, falling part of Maharashtra, but ex-Nizam's, and because of that period, there are certain assets hidden. That fellow had hidden it from Nizam. And then he died, and nobody knew about it. 20 years down the line, there are newspaper publications, advertisements, and they realized something father had left here. We went to Settlement Commission, the question that you asked, they came up. Now, how do we know it is full and true disclosure? This is what the sons know. He said, sir, but there has to be some way out. They were kind enough, ultimately, to admit it, saying that there is nothing available with us to dispute that they are not saying full and true. See, ultimately, there is sometimes a negative also. But the question you asked was the question that the members asked. You are only disclosing what is known to the sons. What about what is not known to the sons? Your application was of the father, deceased father.
No, but the son knows that this asset has come up.
So
Father
that's-
has purchased, but I do not know the
The same, so you can file a father's application. No, but source may be very difficult. I tell you, if you are looking at, if you are hinting at those HSBC bank accounts, don't think of Settlement Commission, they are not going to admit it. telling you very frankly, HSBC bank account, this is one of the questions that come up often. I have myself advised, I tell people don't think of HSBC bank account, they will reject it on this ground. That manner of earning you are not showing, nobody wants to touch those foreign bank accounts. Frankly telling you.
Okay, and SSC we also present before that compulsory.
Normally we make it a practice to have the SSC present.
Because it can be also examined by the court.
If the SSC is smart enough to know that he is an advocate who is arguing for him,
Is it compulsory to be there?
not compulsory. Not compulsory, but normally we insist. Normally we insist. Because if the SSC is present, then only the bench feels the seriousness, SSC is feeling the seriousness of the whole. Ultimately, they are going to give you immunities. You're looking at around 50 crores, 100 crores, nowadays 300 crores. 300 crores is the penalty, and you find that the SSC doesn't have the time to
admissions. At the level, can they ask any question to the SSC?
That's what I'm saying. If the SSC's council is present and SSC knows, is smart enough. See what happens, we have SSC, occasionally it happens, we have to then tell them, please keep quiet. They become very excited and start getting up. Then you get up, then members are going to ask you questions. You trust the advocate who is arguing for you. Whatever mistakes or whatever is doing, keep quiet, sit there till your turn. Get out of the courtroom. Don't stand up. People do that, then you are going to be questioned. If you don't do that, you are very clear that my counsel is only going to speak. That is easy. This happens even in tribunal when you find clients are getting overexcited. That's when the members notice, oh, there's something else here. Thank you.
Well, friends, when we thought of having a session on the settlement commission, we never wanted to do any samjhota on the content. And therefore, the only name which came to our mind was that of Chetan Bhai. And believe me, I'm not exaggerating, but he was kind enough to say yes on the very first call which I called up. Had he said no, probably we would not have the session of settlement commission, we would have structured the seminar in some different fashion. With that,
That was my mistake. Just joking.
See, you will understand after hearing him, you will understand the reason also why I am saying that. The way in which he has explained, the rich experience which he has shared with all of us is really immense value, and we are really thankful to you for this brilliant exposition, Chetan Bhai, as always. And a well-deserved vote of thanks is due, for which I would request our convener, Sri Dheeraj Poddar, to propose a vote of thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks to today's speaker. In lighter mode, I will say that it seems desert in the form of settlement can only be taken if there is serious acidity from assessment and reassessment. We are thankful to CA Chetan Karia for excellent coverage of today's topic, Samjhota Ayog. He has given the insight into the practical approach, how to handle the settlement commission cases, and also put emphasis on certain points like SSC can go to settlement commission once in his lifetime to evaluate the chances of prosecution and penalty involved in the cases before entering into settlement commission. Core of settlement commission is full and true disclosure. Persons who has not concealed cannot go to settlement commission. Entry before settlement commission is by the SSC. It's at the SSC wish, but the exit is not. With this, I, on behalf of all the participants and the chamber, propose a very hearty vote of thanks and request you all to carry out the. I thank all the participants on behalf of